folks. You've successfully made it to After Hours with Process Mining. My name's Justin Graham. I'm the general manager of our process intelligence business here at Microsoft, and I'm joined by Joe Fernandez, who will be up a little bit later in the session. And we're here to talk to you about improving efficiency with Power Automate through our process mining and RPA technologies and how they marry together in that way. So we're going to go ahead and get it kicked off and started. And hey, thank you for joining. If you're in Seattle, this is definitely the fun time of day. If you're in Europe, thank you for staying up incredibly late. If you're in Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, I think it's prime time, so thank your bosses for letting you join the session during work hours. All right, so we're going to talk about a bit of an overview of Power Automate for those in the audience that may not have heard of Power Automate or used it, just a little quick overview of what it is and why it matters. And then we'll jump into two sections, one talking about process mining, why it matters, what it is, how it can help, with a demo, which I'll do, and then I'll bring Joe up on the stage to talk to you about Power Automate for desktop and some exciting, I think maybe there might be some exciting announcements in there. I don't want to bury the lead. There's definitely some cool demos as well. And then Joe and I will come together at the end for a live Q&A, and we're trying to make sure we leave some time for that so you all can ask your questions, both in person and online, and we can get those things answered for you. All right, without further ado, let's move along. So why Power Automate, why Power Platform, why these things matter to the future of efficient business operations and efficiency. As we all know, there's a huge shortfall of developers for the demand for new software and new experiences that both companies and their customers require. And that shortfall is widening over time. It's right about 4 million by 2025, but that's going to continue to expand as the academic community there's not enough churn out of talent for that to meet that demand, and that's going to widen. We also know that 50% of digital tasks can be automated using current technology, specifically repetitive tasks, things that are done same time every day, same way every day, multiple times a day. Those are great candidates for things that can be automated. And many CIOs would choose Power Automate as their automation platform, approximately 50%. And that's because of the depth and breadth of the solution area, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like today. Power Automate helps scale who can automate, but also who can understand what to automate and why, and where to focus. Starting with citizen developers, which are folks who are folks who do and work on critical parts of our business, but aren't classically trained software engineers or classically trained builders using software in the coding style, all the way to pro developers who are classically trained software engineers and write code, as well as administrators and folks who support the infrastructure and the tools and services that we all rely on every day. So across the board, our job and our role and our vision is to scale out and democratize who can automate and who can take advantage of understanding where processes, what's happening, why they're happening on the ground every day. Power Automate boosts productivity. Again, back from the prior slide, democratizing and scaling everyone who can automate. Power Automate boosts the productivity across all three of those audiences through a number of different solutions we have in the product. The first is what we call digital process automation, or if you're a user of Power Automate, we call it Cloud Flows. Really allowing quick time to value in automating things that are mostly digitized, mostly API connected, mostly that live in the cloud already. We also have business process automation that helps streamline complex processes at scale. And we also have what Joe will talk about later is robotic process automation that use robots to emulate human actions, typically on things that may not be cloud native, not API connected, that are a little more difficult to get at in terms of automation. We then have AI Builder, which is a part of the platform that helps folks create intelligent workflows that they can use as a part of their automation journey. And lastly, but I'll say we call it 5, maybe priority 0, is process and task mining and process intelligence to help you understand what's actually happening on the ground in your business on a day-to-day basis through processes, so you know where the opportunities are to apply automation, where the highest ROI places are to start and end. So what to automate first, 5th, 10th, 50th, 100th, in that order, so you know you're working on the highest ROI, highest priority things first. Last thing to understand here is automation in and of itself is not an island. Automation works together with the rest of the Power Platform, low-code applications, low-code bots, business intelligence, and many other areas to bring together a full solution in the platform. Even outside of low-code tooling, it works together with infrastructure services like Azure. It works together with developers tools like GitHub and other things. So it brings all of that together into one platform that you can use to apply automation principles across your estate. And process mining, task mining, and process intelligence tools can be applied broadly across ecosystems, lines of business, even industry use cases, so that wherever you believe you want to apply automation, you can have comfort that the process and task mining and process intelligence tools can be applied across those estates in a general purpose way. Of course, unless you've been chilling out on a nice, sandy, sunny island for the past 9 months, you may have heard of something called AI. You may have heard of something called generative AI. I think there was a bingo card around how many times, who's heard the most Copilot mentions in a day, over the course of the day. But we really have reached a new era of UX, a new era of intelligence, and a new era of software really helping ride alongside of us to get our individual jobs done, but also ride alongside our teams and our organizations to help us get jobs done more efficiently for our customers. So automation and process and task mining can travel the maturity curve using AI in different ways. All the way from classic automation through low-code automation to now AI automation can be applied across the board. So we really have reached a new era, and we're actually here to really help all of you as you think about your journey for automation, process efficiency, to help guide you along the way through the software and through your engagements with us on how you can best apply this to be most efficient. Now that we've understood a bit about Process Power Automate as the full platform, let's talk a little bit about what process mining is, how it works, what it does, and then we'll get into a bit of a fun demo that kind of melds all of these things together. The main goal of process mining is to help you, from a data-backed perspective, truly understand what's actually happening on the ground. One of the analogies I use a lot is I think we've all seen that animated GIF or picture with like a nice grassy field in the middle of what looks like a college quad and a walkway, a paved walkway that goes in a V, and then there's a little pathway that goes through the grass where people actually walk. That's the most efficient path. If you don't have process mining, you would never know where people are actually doing on the ground every day. Are they following design processes, or even if a process is designed a certain way, have certain people found a more efficient way to execute that process but just haven't communicated it to the folks that are designing and operating or owning those processes. After applying process mining, you have a very clear idea of where your opportunities are for automation, optimization, digital transformation, et cetera, through a data-backed and data lineage way. And then once you understand that, we bridge you very closely into the rest of Power Automate to take advantage of that. And then we can help you continually monitor what's actually happened once you've made those changes through automation or low-code applications, and then rerun this process again to see what actually was the ROI or the result from applying it. Are there different places to focus? Can you tweak a little bit of what you've done already? Process intelligence is also a journey, it's not a destination. So many times you'll hear people talk about processes as effectively a set of linear lines that are stacked on top of each other. I think we've all used certain pieces of software in our life that represent processes or projects as a set of overlapping lines going across. We actually, when we talk to customers about process mining, when we talk to customers about really understanding what's happening, we've actually found it super useful to overlay Six Sigma framework on top of talking about it as a flywheel rather than a set of linear lines. The best and most efficient processes are ones that have been continually refined, understood over time. The great thing about process mining inside of Power Automate, inside of the larger Power Platform, is we have tools in the same package and in the same suite that can help you do everything across this flywheel. So the first job is to spin the flywheel once for a process. Can you define your goals, measure it through gathering the data, analyze it and extract the insights and understand where the opportunities are, take the action to improve, control that action, measure its effectiveness, and then do the whole complete that once, and then can you do it over again and run it faster the second time, faster the third time, and then can you add an adjacent process or a related process through another flywheel and spin those flywheels faster together. The more you can do that, the more efficient your business will become, but also the deeper the understanding of what actually happens on the ground and where those opportunities will occur. So we're very excited about the capability that we can provide to you to have all of this married together, integrated into one package, so you don't have to spend time buying 5 different tools and trying to marry them together in 5 different ways over time. So within our process mining offering, we provide a really rich set of capabilities across the suite. So the first, around templates, there's always an ability for you to start from scratch or start from blank and sort of move your way along in your process. But there definitely are some core processes that are relatively similar across businesses. Think finance processes like procure to pay, order to cash, accounts payable, accounts receivable, to supply chain processes like warehouse management, pick, pack, and fulfillment, inventory management, things along those lines, tend to be typically similar. So from a system of record all the way to the analysis and KPIs, we provide some out-of-the-box templates that will help you get started for some typical processes. And over time, you'll see more templates get added to the product over time, and the ability for you as customers to create templates that are specific to your business and your needs that are private to you. We also, through the analysis, provide powerful, very deep analytics features to help you get at the detail of what might really be happening. Things like rework detector. So in a process map, how many times is rework happening? How many times do you get to a step, return to another step, continue that step until something happens that you exit that loop? How many times, what is the root cause of that rework? What is the root cause of that bottlenecking? Can you compare one run or one set of runs of a process to another set of runs, from one department to the other, one geography to the other? So a lot of those deep analysis tools really help you get at the heart of what's really going on. And then through the reporting, which is all native Power BI, now Fabric, is native to the platform, and if you own Premium Fabric, you can actually export the reports and customize them on your own. And then you can integrate with the Power Platform to take action across Power Automate and Power Apps as well. Now, process mining keys off of event data that is the digital exhaust from your systems of record. Think anything Dynamics, Salesforce, SAP, other things. Those systems of record only see what happens when users are directly touching those systems of record. So I think we all know, you don't have to raise your hand, I won't call anyone out, but I think we all know that a lot of the work that happens on a day-to-day basis happens in email, happens in Teams, happens in Office applications, storing them in SharePoint and OneDrive, version control issues, rewriting the deck at the last minute, things along those lines happen. All that work, or it may happen in a mainframe, it may happen on a terminal, it may happen in many other places. So if the system of record doesn't see that work, it's blind. So we actually also have a task mining feature that allows you to deploy session recorders to users' desktops to record them doing their actual jobs and really try to find out what's happening in between what the system of record sees. All in an effort to enrich the data so that you have the best and most accurate picture of what's happening in your processes over time. All right, so enough slideware. Let's jump into a demo and see how this all actually works on a real-time basis. All right, so what you're seeing here is a typical event log file of what gets ingested into process mining. It keys off of a case ID, activities, and a start and end time of that activity. So one case ID usually will have many activities with date and timestamps. And then you can add as many attributes on the end of that as you want to: geography, department, et cetera. When you go into Power Automate process mining, you create a new process. You can name that process. You then can choose how you want to import the data. And we support a feature that allows you to pipe data directly from Azure Data Lake. So we encourage you to push all that event data there and do the transformation. Once you do that, we actually take you through an intuitive interface. So if you're familiar with how Azure Data Lake works, it's going to look and feel very much like what you're used to. We can select the container, and we support today import through CSV, but in the future we'll support imports through Parquet and differentiated files or incremental import. Now, once the system sees the data that you've imported, Copilot comes to life to try to help you map the data to the attributes that are necessary for process mining. So what you just saw is Copilot actually look at the data and recommend mapping for attribute types. You can check that and accept or change it. And then for ones that it didn't understand, you can manually adjust and add those attribute types and the things that those mean. As you do this over time, the more data you add and the more you map this, the more you'll teach the system what this data looks like. So in future adds, this will actually get more accurate, and the system will recommend or understand more attributes. So now that the data has been imported, the first set of reports are ready. So you'll see a process map bottom left, and you'll see some very unique and sort of regular analysis at the top in terms of some metrics that matter. Case duration, loops, how many cases were looped, how many cases where rework happened, and then how many variants happened across the total number of cases, and how many activities are part of the data. And we can filter on any one of the variants by frequency or by time. We can also look at the map in a number of different ways. Performance, variance, duration, and all of that data is there from the richness of the event log. So the more rich your input data is, the more rich the output will be and the analysis will be. We then can look at the DNA of each variant and figure out if there's different paths that we want to focus on or different paths that may be, that give us a window into a unique thing that we want to take a look at. So now we can then go to Copilot, and instead of having to adjust this or try to understand this by using traditional BI, we can ask Copilot to provide us the top insights. Copilot returned what those insights were, and then we ask it how to identify bottlenecks, and then we ask it how to address the bottlenecks that we identify. You then saw a deep link into Power Automate, where it's helping, Power Automate is taking over and helping to create a Power Automate flow automatically from the data that we have from process mining. And this is a huge improvement to the efficiency of taking action because the user didn't have to go and create this flow on their own. The system and Copilot and natural language did that on its own. The flow you can see here in terms of how it's being created from a prompt that was generated by us and then launch that flow. We can now also create a Power App directly from Copilot linking into Power Apps from the data that we have as well. So some things may need to be automated, but some things might be better if if a digitized app was built around that process to make it more efficient. So you're seeing Mona here create an app through Copilot that will then get launched and be provided for users to use to make that part of the process more efficient for future runs. And that app can be edited or adjusted or customized after it's been generated and validated. Lastly, you can then take the reporting, if you want to interact with the report through traditional BI, and export the reports to Power BI. And you can then customize that report to your heart's content. In this case, process mining was actually applied to look at how effective the automation that was auto-generated from Power Automate before has been. And you could still interact with it in a traditional BI way, but you can also use the natural language Copilot capabilities in Fabric and ask questions of the data and have Fabric search and provide that answer for you without having to do the digging and the filtering and everything on your own. So that demo showed all the way from start with data, all the way through analysis, all the way through Copilot creating actionable, taking action through automation and apps, and then measuring the effectiveness of that using Fabric. That's one full sweep of the flywheel that then you can do faster and faster in the future. Now, a couple of case studies. So our customer service organization at Microsoft has been kicking the tires with process mining to see if there's ways and abilities to improve how our customer service processes become effective. Through their initial use of the product, they've already automated over 13,000 requests and saved over 3,300 hours of time waiting for approvals to move our support cases forward, and saved 113 hours of time. But what they also figured out was that the full opportunity was much more than that. Upwards of 54,000 requests and 453 hours of time saved. And they're currently working through the process to make sure that that's happening well. We also have a customer, Vattenfall, who's using process mining to understand maintenance schedules so that they can ensure that they're keeping wind turbines and other equipment effective over time. And the savings that they're making is quite large. 4 weeks decreased cycle time, as well as a high efficiency gain as well. All right. So with that, I'm going to bring up Joe, who's going to talk to you about how this relates to RPA as well. Joe?
Thank you, Justin.
You bet.
All right, that was awesome. OK, so Justin has just shown us how with process mining we can discover automation for opportunities as well as optimize them. Now let's look at how to build some of these automations with Power Automate Desktop. So what is Power Automate Desktop? With Power Automate Desktop, you can build desktop flows, which are basically bots that replicate human activity to automate any kind of system, whether those are old or new applications or websites, where the only way to automate them is to basically replicate what a human would do with a mouse and keyboard, up to cloud services. And getting started is very, very easy. It comes pre-installed with Windows 11, so you can start for free. Or you can also install in Windows 10. And the best way to see it in action is to do a demo. But before jumping to a demo, we have some exciting announcements, as Justin spoiled. So the first one is Copilot is now part of Power Automate Desktop. And we're launching with 2 features. The first one, we call it Generative Answers, which is a chat assistant built right within Power Automate Desktop. So as you build your desktop automations, you can go and ask any question, and you're going to get precise answers to your questions. And the second one, we call it natural language to coding actions. So within Power Automate Desktop, we have a number of popular scripting actions, PowerShell, JavaScript, Python, where up until now, if you added those actions, you had to provide the code. Well, now Copilot, you can just invoke the Copilot, describe the code you want in natural language, and AI will generate that code for you. Another part of an important part of the automation lifecycle is monitoring and governance. And here as well, we have 2 exciting updates that we're launching here at Ignite. The first one is we're also bringing Copilot to the activity page. Within Power Automate, we have an activity page where you can view the status of your flows, your machines, any errors. Well, now there's a Copilot where you can just go and ask any questions to get the status of your automations. And the second one is we're bringing a credential manager to Power Automate. To connect to your machines, you need to provide credentials. And now you can have those credentials centrally managed in the credential manager. So every time you update those credentials, they will automatically be updated to all automations that use those credentials. And you can put them into the solutions. So that means that you can take those credentials across different environments as you deploy the automations across different stages like development, test, and production. All right, so with that, let's have a look and see these features in demo. So let me switch to a machine here. So I have this Excel file, which I receive a few times per week. And every time I receive this Excel file with an endless number of rows, I need to go open this application and manually copy and paste the data from the Excel file to the application. So as you can imagine, this takes me quite a bit of time. And it's something that I would rather spend doing something else rather than just copying and pasting. After I do that, I need to export the Excel file as a PDF. And I need to share it with my colleagues in a Teams channel to let them know that I've processed those invoices. So let's see how we can use Power Automate and the new features, such as Copilot, to help me build this now. So let me switch to Power Automate. And I'm going to click on New Flow. First, it's going to ask me for a name. So let's give it data entry, for example. Create. And this is going to open the Power Automate Desktop Designer. We're going to see now on the left all the different built-in actions. We have over 400 built-in actions that you can just drag and drop to build your automation. A great way also to start building the automation is to use the built-in recorder, which is just show what you want to automate, and then Power Automate will replay those actions. So let me use the recorder to show how I enter data into this invoicing app. So let me click here, record. And then what I do is basically I click on new record, and then go and fill the different details. So I need to fill like the today's date, the account. And as you can see, as I do this, the recorder is capturing all the different actions. Contact name, an amount, and then the status, whether it's on invoice, paid, or invoice. Let me pick one here, for example, invoiced. OK. All right. So the recorder has captured everything. I'm going to click Done. And it's going to take all those actions and bring them into the Power Automate Designer. So here I can customize it. If I were to click Run, it would, again, replay the actions that I've done with the exact values that I've entered. But this is not, of course, what I want. What I want is to take the data from the Excel file here to the application. So we have a number of Excel actions, but I'm not quite sure how to use them. So I'm going to go and now open the Copilot that you find it here and just ask. So I'm going to say, hey, Copilot, how do I read an Excel file and use the data to populate the actual actions in the UI automation? And Copilot is going to give me step-by-step instruction on how should I do that. So first, it tells me, first you need to add a launch Excel action. So let me do that. Let me search for launch Excel. Drag and drop. And when I drag and drop an action into a designer, it's going to ask me a few questions. In this case, it's going to ask me, hey, do you want to launch Excel from a blank document or with an existing document? In this case, I already have a document. So let me go and select that Excel file. Here it is. OK. And the second step, I need to add the read from Excel worksheet action. So let me search for that. Read from Excel. And here. Perfect. And now it's going to ask me, again, a number of questions, like do I want to retrieve like a single cell or a range of cells? In this case, I'm going to do a range of cells. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to do like the two first rows. So I'm going to start from column A, row number 2, up to column E, row number 3. So let me just fill that in. Start column A, start row 2, and column E, and row 3. All right, so this action is going to go and read the two first rows, and then I need to iterate over those rows. So what I'm going to do is add a for each loop, so it goes and processes each of the rows. Here, when I click on this X, it's going to show me all the different values that I can use from previous actions. In this case, I have the data that I've extracted in the Excel data value. So I'm going to click on this one, select, save, and now I just have to put all these actions into the for each loop. OK, so now here in current item, what I have is the value of a single row with the different columns. And I'm not sure how do I access the columns. So what I can do is, again, I can go to Copilot and ask. I can say, hey, I have a variable called current item. How do I go and actually access the different columns by index? And Copilot comes back with the actual notation that I need to use. So let me go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go here. Okay, I need to select the current item, and then specify the column. In this case, column starts with 0, so first column is number 0. So let me go ahead and do this here. The account name will be the same, but in the second column. So in this case, I'm going to, oops, let me just copy and paste that again. Okay, so account name will be in column number 1. The contact name in number 2. Here, and then the last one, which is the combo box. It's the last column, which is number 4. So they go in sequential order. All right, so I've done this. Next step, I need to go and convert the Excel file to a PDF. So if I search here, I see that I have a section around PDF. And there's a number of actions that I can use. I can extract data from PDF, I can merge PDF, but there's no convert to Excel to PDF. But what I can do, I can quickly put together a script to help me do that. So I'm going to go into a scripting section, and I'm going to drag and drop the run from PowerShell action. Run PowerShell script. Let me do this outside the loop here. And up until yesterday, you had to provide here the code, so you had to provide the PowerShell code to do that transformation. Now we can just go and click here, generate script with Copilot, and describe the code that we need. So in this case, we need some code to convert an Excel file to a PDF file. And if I do this, it will print the PDF in landscape mode, but we want it in portrait mode. So actually the other way, so it will print it in portrait mode, we want it in landscape mode. So what I can do, and the magic of prompting, is I can just say, hey, generate the PDF in landscape mode. So this is the prompt, convert Excel to PDF, and then generate the PDF in landscape. So let me go ahead and click generate. And this is going to then call Copilot, and Copilot is going to return back the PowerShell code to do this transformation. And there we have it. And the great thing is that it provides comments for each of the lines. So I understand what each of the line does. For example, here, it does the actual rotation to landscape as I specify in the prompt. So this is great. I can use the script. I can then, of course, modify it. So if I want to make any changes, I'm free to do so. Like, for example, here, AI has provided a hard-coded path. I want to be a different path, of course. Like, for my machine, it's going to be different. So I'm going to just copy the actual file path for my Excel file, paste it here on the code. And then, same, I need to specify an output path for the PDF file. So I'm going to do here and put PDF. All right, so far, what we have, we're going to read the Excel file. We're going to enter the data into the invoicing app. We transform that into PDF. And next, we need to post the update on Teams. So for that, we now have a number of cloud connectors built right within Automate Desktop, so you can call them right within here. So you'll see some popular services like SharePoint, Forms, Teams, OneDrive, and so on. One that we're also excited to announce is SAP Automation. So we now have a number of pre-built SAP actions that you can use to automate SAP. We know SAP is a very popular use case for Automate Desktop, so that's even easier with these actions. In our case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the PDF file into a SharePoint, and then I'm going to put that message into Teams. So for that, in the interest of time, I'm going to do a little magic trick here to automatically add those actions for me. But let me walk you through what I did. So basically, first thing I did is I need to create the file, basically upload the file to SharePoint, that PDF file. That PDF file needs to be in binary format, so I've added an action here to convert the PDF to binary data. Then I create a link that will share on my Teams message. Then I'm using the GPT model. So I'm using GPT here to basically help me draft the message. So it's going to write a status message that includes the invoices are processed, the sum of all invoices, and the count per status. So this is a great way if you're looking to generate content, to extract data. You have the GPT model built right within Automate Desktop. And last, I'm going to go and post the message in Teams. So let me just check that everything's correct here. So it's going to ask me for whether I want to post in a channel or a chat. In this case, in a channel. The message is going to be the response from GPT and the link to the PDF, and in which team and channel. OK, so this looks great. So let's go ahead and see if we were able to automate this. So I click Run. It's going to open Excel. It's going to read those two first rows, and then it's going to open the control swap and enter the data. And as you can see, like, I'm not touching the keyboard or the mouse. The desktop flow is doing the job for me. So as you can imagine, like, we're doing just 2 rows for this demo, but if I have thousands of rows, the amount of time I'm saving is quite huge. And with the help of Copilot and the new natural language to code, like getting building automations is getting more and more easier. Okay, so now it has converted the Excel file to PDF. It's uploading that to SharePoint. It's using GPT to help me create that message that I'm going to share with my colleagues, and it will post it in Teams. All right, so that's the last step. Let's check. So if I go now to Teams, local time 5:50. So we see that it has sent a message. Good news, colleague. I've just finished. First number of invoice processed 2, total amount, and the status. And if I try to go to this link, I should go and see the actual PDF export. There we have it. Yep, you can clap. Thank you. All right. Quick thing as well. So I was saying we're also bringing Copilot to the activity page. So this is the activity page where you can go and monitor the status of your automations. I see here there's a bit too much of red, which is a little bit concerning. So let's use Copilot to try to investigate what is happening here. So here I have the Copilot. Again, natural language interface. I can ask any questions about my automation. In this case, I'm going to go and ask, hey, can you show me the most frequent error messages during the last month to try to see that if there's one that is more often. And here I see there's one that says that the report template is missing 70 times. OK, so let me find out in which flows is that happening. So I can just ask a follow-up question to a Copilot. Hey, from all those error codes, like in which flows are they happening? I can make this bigger, so I can see better what's happening here. I can move this. I see that the report template is missing, happens in the sales report generation flow. So then I can ask, OK, last question, who built that sales report generation flow? And that way, I'm going to get the name of the maker, in this case, someone called David. So I can reach out to David and try to help troubleshoot that issue. All right, so that's for the demo. Thank you. So what we just saw is we saw how now with generative answers, we can have a chat assistant help us build those desktop automations. With natural language to code, we can then add scripts and just describe in natural language the code that we want to add. We saw that now we have Cloud Connector within Automate Desktop to connect to cloud services, including the SAP Actions. And Activity Copilot help us monitor and audit our automation status. A lot of great updates. I encourage everyone to check out our blog, the Automate blog, where we describe in details all these updates. And all of these are already available. So also, I invite everyone to try them out. And with that, I'm going to invite Justin back on stage to go for Q&A. Thank you.
All right. So I think we've got a few questions coming up on the chat. So I think the first one is from Susan. A lot of the focus of the DMAC model relates to people behavior. Is there a capability uplift needed for staff rather than simply the identification of what can be automated? Will Microsoft's process mining support this type of process improvement or only process automation? This is a great question. So yes, process mining is not purely related to automation, although that's one of the great things that it does. At its core, it's identifying inefficiencies in process or opportunities. And that could be bottlenecks, rework, recommendations for individuals to improve directly. And the tie to taking action can be automation, or it can be apps, or it can be other actions. So yes, it supports this today in the product. Yes, next question from Kyron C. Can you describe the licensing required to use the process mining Power Automate capabilities? Yes. So for first, all of the licensing is available not only for process mining, but also for RPA and the full Power Automate suite at powerautomate.com. Specifically for process mining, if you purchase the $15 per user license, that comes with a certain amount of data of process mining you can use across the full capabilities of process mining. And then there is an add-on that also is available if you need more data to use process mining. Joe, you want to comment on maybe RPA and how RPA is licensed as well, so everyone knows?
Definitely, yes. So on the RPA side, there's basically two main options. One, you can go for the Automate Premium license, and that's going to give you access to what we call attended RPA. So those desktop automations that you need to be logged in the machine to see them running. And then we also have the process license if you want to do unattended automation. So one way to see it is if you're going to do attended, you're covered with the Power Automate Premium license. If you want to do unattended scenarios, then we encourage to look at the Power Automate process license.
Awesome. So in recap, if you own the Power Automate Premium license, you own some process mining, you own some RPA, you also own some DPA and cloud flows as well. So you really own everything you need to get started, and then it just matters how deeply you want to go beyond those initial entitlements as we have add-ons for that.
Is there any, so question from Bowie, is there any developer plan that we can use to try and test RPA? So first of all, to build RPA bots, you need Power Automate Desktop. Power Automate Desktop comes pre-installed Windows 11. You can start even with an MSI account for free, so you don't need any AAD Entra ID account to get started. But if you're an Entra ID account, you can also build automation for free. So you can build those RPA bots for free. You can run them locally on the machine. The moment where you want to deploy them for attended usage at scale or unattended, at that moment you will need a license. But you can start for free. So building the automation, well, basically the demo that I did, you can try it for free. And as part of the developer, so there's the Power Apps developer plan. There's also some Power Automate capacity. So that's also a way, if you search for Power Automate developer plan, you will also get some additional capabilities if you want to try a little bit more additional features. But again, to try and see what Power Automate Desktop is capable of, you can start for free without any need of license or trial.
All right. So a question from a guest. Besides finance, what other industries have strong use cases for process mining? So really every industry does, but I'll give a few examples. In one of the use cases in the deck, we talked about sort of an energy use case with our use case customer Vattenfall. We're also seeing some strong use cases in automotive and in manufacturing. We're also seeing some great use cases around compliance in financial services across banking and insurance. Also, we're seeing some strong use cases in telecom and e-commerce. So really, there's a breadth. Also, in every industry or every company by line of business, there's also strong use cases for every line of business, from finance to inventory, supply chain, operations, to sales, to marketing, customer journey. And we'll have templates rolling out over time that will address all those things. All right, a question from Nicholas. Under what circumstances should you use Power Automate in process mining versus traditional BPM software? Does Power Automate support long-running tasks? So yes, there's many different ways and decisions, but the best way is to actually be using BPM and process mining together because that'll give you a richer, more deep result. And we can support long-running processes both on the process intelligence side, but also on the RPA side. Joe, I don't know if you want to talk to anything around RPA and long-running processes and how those things can be automated.
Yeah, definitely. And especially we recently, well, actually, I went GA a couple weeks ago. We have a feature called work queues. So if you want to serialize complex process that you want to decouple and use a producer-consumer type of pattern, you can use work queues, and that indeed applies. You can have a large number of automations that you put into a work queue, will queue that, take those automations, run them as they go. So yeah, definitely long-running process, long-running task, definitely supported by the product. Yeah.
All right, folks, so that was the last question, and I think we're ending on time, so you can go to the real after hours at this point. So thank you very much for spending your 5 o'clock hour with us. Hope you enjoy the show. Take care.
Thank you.